This is Beats One.
Beats One, New York City. I'm Chris Mirigliani in the studio with Laura Alluxe Escudé. You're an artist, you're a producer, you're a DJ, you are a controllerist, which we're going to get to in a second. You're a classically trained violinist, live show designer, like slash.
Right. A lot of things.
Multi-hyphenate.
Yeah. People basically just don't know what I do.
Where do you first like to start chipping away at that?
I mean, I think
For people.
first, I'm an electronic music producer.
Yeah.
I've been producing since 2000, and that's my, passion, my love. I got into working with electronic music in college and playing violin over beats, and then just, took it from there. So that's kind of how I got into all of this. And then from there, somehow ended up in the live show world and became, known for working with a lot of artists on their live performances and crafting that and designing those types of shows. And, of course, a violinist, that was my first love and passion. And I've been doing it for 25 years, something like that. So that is the foremost thing that I've been doing.
All right, so you currently are the controllers for Kanye West's St. Pablo tour, which just wrapped up its 2 nights here in New York City at Madison Square Garden.
Yes.
And I know that when we were trying to schedule this, it was like, you'll be available post
right. Yeah.
the Madison Square Garden shows.
I said, in the afternoon, preferably, because I need to sleep.
How's tour been going? First of all, I mean, anybody who's seen anything online, it's just like it's a show unlike most people have ever seen, and it's a floating stage that just travels across the entire arena, and it's on another level visually. And then when it comes to what you do, I guess, how do you contribute to that tour as a controllerist?
Well, it's been about 5 years that I've been working with him and working with the team, and it's gone through a lot of different iterations over the years. But I'm responsible for all the music playback on the show, which means all the music that you hear that's not played by the band is coming from my world. And so that means I'm responsible for all the music edits. I work, with a team of engineers and different people to come up with the edits for the show, making transitions, sound effects, all that kind of stuff that goes into the box, as we call it. And also responsible for the vocal effects. So the auto-tune, all different kinds of effects that are on vocals. So that's my job.
How choreographed is that process?
I mean, I think for every show, it's different. But a lot of shows are very improvisational and other shows aren't. It just depends on the artist that I'm working with and what they think up that day, what they want to do.
Do you have a favorite venue you've ever been in?
I mean, the Garden. I mean, hands down. I've actually probably done more shows there than any other venue. I did the Sandy benefit there a few years ago, and countless shows. And it's just like the vibe there is always just electric. It's just like something that you can't even explain. But last night, the energy was there even more than the other night. I could just feel the energy there, and I mean, it helped that there were just more people there than had ever been there, I guess, because we sold more tickets and sold more merch than ever. So it was a historical night, which was
it was
great.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And do you now get to take a break, or I know there's a team of people who work with you that you as one person cannot be everywhere all the time.
Yeah, I have a company called Electronic Creatives, and basically I hire out programmers and musicians and controllerists for different shows. So Kanye is one of them. So I have one of my team now out on the road for the rest of the dates to handle all the music playback and stuff, and also The Weeknd is a client, Iggy Azalea, Charlie XCX, Zayn, So it's cool, because I've just developed these relationships with people and trained other people to come in and kind of take over at a certain point. And, it's working out pretty well.
As an artist yourself, how does working with a lot of these acts and collaborating with them play into what you're doing?
Man, I get so much inspiration from these guys. And I also take what I'm doing and, with certain artists and kind of present them with what I do.
Yeah, I
So
guess
as
so. Or
well.
like give them a new toy or show them something new.
Like a couple of examples of that are Porter Robinson and Herbie Hancock.
Mm-hmm.
With those guys, I just was like, hey, these are the tools that I use. This is how I do it. And then we kind of modified that for their live shows. And then also seeing these different artists perform like all over the spectrum. I mean, working with Herbie was amazing. And he really inspired me because he got me to start meditating with him and which was great. So that really inspired me in my work, and also just the physicality, and just coming from playing violin and coming from the classical world and seeing how some of these artists that I work with don't necessarily know their scales or music theory or any of that stuff, but they don't need that training because they just hear it and they feel it. And so I've kind of taken that a little bit because it was kind of hard for me to untrain myself in a way because I needed to be untrained because I was so like reading music from a page for most of my life. And then I started going to raves and I was like, wow, this music is amazing. And got really into drum and bass and I was like, I want to play violin over this music, but I don't even know how. Like, how do I do that? And so I had just literally had to learn how to improvise and play over this music. And it took me a while to kind of nail that. But now I feel like I have a good grasp of both. Like I can read music off a page or I can improvise as well.
So you've got this EP, Contrast, on the way. It'll be out October 28th.
Yeah.
What was like the journey of putting this together? Because I'm like spending a lot of time on the road or getting called in to do work on other projects or collaborate with other people. How do you make time to work on your project?
Well, it's interesting because let's see, last July I went on the road with Miguel and I was DJing for him in his band and also opening for him through February. So it was a good chunk of time. And it was great. It was like such a great group of people and everyone in the band is like making music and playing, clips for each other. And we were just constantly trying to make sure that everyone was keeping up with their production game and, like, hey, everyone's working, right? Yep, we're working. And, that was really awesome to see and to be around. And that was really inspiring. And then February through now, I was actually just in LA working on music and doing different projects and performances and stuff like that. And I actually just performed in VR for the first time at the VR LA convention. That was about a month ago. And so I was DJing in VR. And so that was cool. I'm like getting into that world a bit. And so, just like a lot of just different types of projects have been happening. And I definitely feel like I've, been focusing more on my own work and overseeing a lot of these other projects, with the people that work for me. But I've been finding more time and have gotten kind of re-inspired and have like a new vibe and sound that I'm like honing in on. So
the first single is Work My Body.
Yeah.
Tell me a bit about that one.
Man, so
it was like I picked up like I love like the drum. It's like the bongo drums. Is it?
It's a tabla.
Tabla, okay.
Yeah.
And the violin just sounds crazy on it.
Cool. That one I was sitting on for a while. I just like been in this vibe of like moving more and like doing more dance and like, cause I feel like I'm very much like in my head a lot, and I've been consciously trying to shift out of that bit. And that was kind of where the song first started.
Wanna work my body.
And my friend Solar, he is like one of the best tabla players in the world. I mean, he's incredible. And he and I toured together in 2009 with this band called Niyaz. They're like a Persian electronic band.
Okay.
And I was playing violin and doing Ableton stuff. And he was playing tabla, and we reconnected. He came to one of my shows last year, and he was like, hey, if you ever want to like collab on something. And then I had started Work My Body, and I didn't know where it was going. And, I just went over to his studio, and he laid down the tablas, and it was like, wow, this totally like makes the track, And then we did a music video, and that was super cool. And it's actually a way different vibe than the other stuff on my EP, and that's kind of why the EP is called Contrast, because there's all these contrasting vibes. But yeah, it was great to be able to collab with him.
So the new one on my own, like you said, like different vibe.
Totally different vibe. It's a more emotional, not as dance oriented. Again, this is another one that was like from a while ago, a year ago. I got introduced to this singer songwriter Tatiana, and she came through, and I said, I have this like sketch. Do you want to work on something? And she totally recorded some amazing stuff. And then I got busy and was like focusing on all this other stuff. And then a few months ago, I just kind of came across it again, and I was like, man, this is amazing. Like, why did I not finish this? So then I was like, okay, I'm going to like update the beat and update the synth and just kind of like spruce it up. And so I did. And yeah, so that's the next single. And, you know, her voice, I mean, just gives me chills.
What do you find most inspires you? Like, what's the thing that you always are going back to that gives you an idea or turns on a light bulb?
Man, just melodies. I just, you know, I've come to realize, like, yeah, I'm super into beats, of course, but all my music is very melodic and kind of like emotional in a way, and film, you know, film score-esque. And so I'm inspired by a lot of that stuff, and like also like one person shows, like Zoe Keating, she plays the cello and she's a one-woman show and she does looping, and I do looping as well on the violin live. And although I'm doing more electronic stuff, and just people that are like innovating in the live performance world, because I love performing so much, and that's like such a big part of what I do, and like bringing these songs to life, and just like seeing people that have created, you know, their own controllers or their own way of doing things live. Like Beardy Man is another example. He's an amazing like live looper, and he improvises on the spot with his vocals, and it's just incredible. People playing instruments, people doing finger drumming or drumming, or, you know, just like whatever instrument, you know, just people doing stuff live, like, and not just standing up there, you know, pressing play and the whole, you know, because that, of course, that has been a big point of contention to a lot of people. And I feel like we're shifting, you know, out of that a little bit and more into like seeing like Jack Garrett, and, you know, so these people are just like, wow, like this is amazing. So
well, yeah, because once you see like a Jack Garrett or Disclosure,
yeah,
doing it live,
yeah,
like, well, what are you guys doing?
Right.
All right, so contrast the end of October.
Yeah.
What else? Do you have anything else lined up?
Well,
like either shows or another
yeah.
tour, or what's coming up for you?
Well, so, you know, some EC stuff is in the works, and well, so end of October the Pablo tour comes to LA, and so of course I'll be there. Yep. But it'll be nice because I'll just be hanging out, and maybe I'll be on the floor this time, and you know, just I gotta go on the floor.
Wait, he's doing Staples Center, right?
The Forum.
Oh, no.
Yeah, 4 nights. I'll probably go to 2. I'll probably go like the first one and the last one, because I don't know. All 4 would be a lot.
Yeah.
But I gotta go to the last show, because that's like the last show. Yeah. It's gonna be amazing. Especially to just see like how far the tour has come since I hopped off. So in October, I'm gonna be doing some shows in LA based around the release. I'm gonna do a listening party at Soho House. Then in November, I'm going to the Loop conference, Ableton. I actually used to work at Ableton back in,
you're like their first certified trainer, right? And then just like then you just like we're sent out to train others and spread the word.
Kind of. It was, you know, I worked there and I became the first trainer because I worked there and helped develop the program. But I think it's just kind of a misconception as a trainer, because people were like, oh, you're a teacher. And I'm like, no, I don't actually teach anyone. I work on these shows. And that's kind of what I do.
Yeah.
I help others to craft their shows. But for a while I did at the very beginning, like, train others. So it's gonna be cool to go back to the Loop conference in Berlin, and, you know, and then after that I think I'm gonna stay in Berlin for like a week and play some shows and hang out and, you know, do a talk or something. And then I just get invited to Berkeley in Valencia, Spain, and I'm gonna do a performance and talk there. And so I'm looking to do more of those kinds of, you know, educational / shows for the Alluxe brand, coming up this fall and next year. So I'm going to be like doing my own little tours.
Laura, what's the best place for people to find you on the internet, on socials?
Alluxe Music everywhere. That's
Okay.
ALLUXE music.
Cool.
On the snaps and instas and all that stuff.
Snaps, Insta, Twitter. There'll be a new one that we have to get on in a couple months.
I finally just got on Snapchat. I'm like, okay, all right.
It's my favorite one. That one's
Yeah.
the best. Laura, thank you for stopping by.
Thanks
it's great to
so
talk
much,
to you. I
Chris.
appreciate it.
Take care.
Beats 1.